Hello, I'm Mike, and today we're going to go over chapter 9 of the book Leading Change by Kotter. Kotter is a internationally known expert in the field of leadership and change management. And chapter 9 is entitled Consolidating Gains and Producing More Change. To this point in the change management process, by Kotter's 8-stage step model for change, we've seen some progress and some changes are happening, and the organization's seeing the benefits of some different actions they've been taking. So now we're going to get to the point of keeping that momentum. And while short-term wins are essential for keeping the momentum going, sometimes a sense of urgency can be lost. Without that sense of urgency, complacency can set in. Anytime that complacency sets in and you let up for the job and you think that it's finished, or you may not want to put in as much effort, then there's a possibility that momentum may lessen and then regression will follow. Kotter talks about interdependence within organizations. By interdependence, he means, especially in a larger organization, or maybe an organization connected with a lot of different moving parts in the environment, one thing affects another. He gives an example of if you were to walk into a room where one thing was tied with a rope to something else, which was weighed down with a weight with something else, which was connected to something else, a lever or something, So if you push one thing, it's going to move something else all the way connected to something else. And everything in the whole room you can imagine is like with ropes and a sheet and, wheeled objects and things. You move one thing, it's going to affect something else. The interdependencies can get in the way of an organization moving efficiently. A lot of times, building an organization up as we go, there may come a point where a lot of bureaucracy is involved, a lot of policies are in place. Maybe there's a lack of communication between departments. Then it takes a little bit extra, maybe unnecessary work to just get a simple thing done. Looking at those interdependencies and then starting to figure out ways to make it more efficient. We want to produce more change, look at what we've accomplished so far, but also see if we can make the processes more efficient. Interconnections, Kotter says, can complicate transformation efforts because change happens more easily in a system of independent parts. But if things are interdependent, he says, changing highly interdependent settings is extremely difficult because ultimately you have to change nearly everything. I want to change this thing right here. Maybe have a meeting time at a different time, or maybe a different format. Instead of Zoom, we use something else. All of a sudden, that affects something else. We don't have the technology to do that. We don't have the space to do that at that time. Maybe people have their schedules, they're scheduled to do other things at those times. And everything has to move around because of a simple thing like, let's move this 15 minutes, or let's just switch to this technology instead. Everybody's using it. But even the little things can cause a big effect of chain reaction. Then Kotter goes back to talking about the urgency rate. Is the urgency high enough in an organization to move ahead? If so, then it's possible to move ahead. But if there's no sense of urgency about changing anything or any behaviors, taking steps towards a difference in the way we do things, then complacency can increase. And Kotter warns that some leadership may become impatient. and try to enact change forcefully, very quickly. They'll take a couple people and start ordering them around and saying, you need to make this change now, and let's just go get it. Management, make them do this instead. And that may last for a little bit, but it's not going to last in long-term change because of all the other entrenched things that are within the organization. So the net effect, Kotter says, an entire change effort will take more time and energy than you initially expected. And the process of initial change has a lot of warm-up steps involved. It takes some time and energy. It's not just directing people to do things differently. But a short-term win will enable people to feel empowered a bit or just motivated to say, yes, it's worth taking these steps in another direction. Kotter ends this chapter, says, good leadership from above helps everyone understand the big picture, the overall vision and strategies, and the way each project fits into the whole. Person working in one department might not understand how this change affects everything else, but good communication of the vision and how everything works together helps people feel like they're part of the process and what they're doing is meaningful. So this seventh stage of change, which is consolidating gains and producing more change. In a successful major change effort, leadership comes from senior management, where they focus on clarity of the shared purpose, whereas there's leadership throughout the organization. I think this is referring to communicating that shared purpose. And there's a reduction of unnecessary interdependencies to make processes run more efficiently.